Is it just me, or can anybody remember history classes and everything? Can anybody ever remember a country that tried teaching its people to hate men and treat men like animals if they like women, if they like women for dating or marriage, particularly? Besides, even America hasn't done that, but the Democrat Party has done that. And there's things I want to talk about if I ever find time to do it. That some new epiphanies about why would the Democrat Party be like that? Because you're trying to tear down your country by doing that. It doesn't really make sense, to pretend you're kind and compassionate and hate men. Men are people too, right? I mean, and we're not. It's not so strange. So a lot of things they try to make strange aren't strange, But I guess what I want to touch on though is the fact that if you really look at history, and this is something I want to talk about in depth at some point, the Republicans found America. They found the freedom of America. They were the settlers. They were the pilgrims. They were the people that came here for freedom, running from Europe. And the Democrat Party represents European leaders, European governments coming here to try to stop the settlers from having freedom and to take over, and they brought slavery and all that. But the Republicans became the Republicans, named the Republicans later on, the settlers, and they won the Civil War. And Abraham Lincoln, while he was still alive, decided to allow the Democrats to stay and unite with us. But he could have kicked them out of the country or said, go back somewhere else. Well, I guess I'm going to talk a little more about that real quick. Think about, this is what occurred to me recently as an epiphany. Think about, used to when they were still getting away with lying and calling the Republican Party racist. We're getting away with it even more a few years back. And pretending like the Republican Party supported slavery. It's the opposite. The Democrat Party did, and they still do. Across the border with the drug cartel slavery and stuff like that. They still support that slavery. And they support treating Republicans like slaves, tax slaves, and but just talking to them like they're no good, like talking down to them and stuff. And then they'll switch and lie and act like it's the other way around because they own media. They own so many media outlets, and they silence people from talking and they can't defend themselves and say, that's not what we said. We didn't say that. They won't let that message get out there. Well, but there's more media venues nowadays than there used to be. But they're mostly private, and they're always they have enough power in the Democrat Party to try to shut those things down. So they are rich. All right, I'm getting sidetracked here. But the point is, when they were always talking about racism, and they would say, if you hate America, they would say this to some of the most racist black folks. Tell them, well, if you hate America that much, why don't you go back to Africa? And they would make a huge deal about somebody saying that. And it doesn't really apply to the black folks, though. It applies, but it does apply. This is my epiphany. That does apply to the people and the Democrat Party that Abraham Lincoln allowed to be part of our group. You're allowed to leave this country. This is the only country in the world that created the Freedom Network. There's other countries that have freedom now, like the America created, like the Republicans created. The Republicans created American freedom, not the Democrats, bottom line. And so I've never made it that clear before. Nobody's ever talked about it that clear because they're always trying to include the Democrats and act like we're both American, but the Democrat Party was never American in the sense of wanting freedom. They've always tricked people since then. They've always been still trying to get back their old form of government. And so it does make sense to say, if it's not that easy to go to other countries, but do any other countries have the form of government that the Democrats are trying to impose on America? If you think about it, no other country, they might be, maybe some in Europe, the liberal side might, but what other country is trying to destroy all their men and families? The Democrats want to destroy family and men and everything. And there's other stuff I don't remember right now. I've been having memory trouble recently, but I hope to fix my diet and fix that. And when I've gotten addicted to chocolate too long, the theobromine, I think, stays in my system and slows me down. And then I've had some physical issues recently and taken Flonase pretty regular. And if I take that for too many days in a row, it affects my memory, and I've gained some weight too fast. So my cholesterol might be up, but my memory's struggling, and too much caffeine. When I do too much caffeine, it does that too. And I'm in that slump right now. But so my memory's not quite where, it's not the greatest memory already, but I sure have a lot of stuff I want to talk about, and I get sidetracked real easy. But hopefully I'm gonna fix that. However, I want to get a few main points out, and I might go to 10 minutes, so, or just end in a couple of minutes. But, so it makes sense, though, to realize, not to say leave our country to people that live here and everything else, but start being confident and realizing that the Republican Party is the party who built the free America that we have. It is the party that got the Declaration of Independence, which some people have tried to twist that, but that's what says we're one human race. The Declaration of Independence, it says a lot of good things. We're endowed by our Creator. It gives us certain inalienable rights. The Democrat Party wants to take us God's natural laws and wisdom out. The Republican Party is the one that put us under God with the Declaration of Independence, and then had slogans later to complement that: one nation under God and the flag. That shows we're all one human race. That's not making us a theocracy, because we came here to get away. The Republican Party is the one that came here to get away from a theocracy, not the Democrat Party. So when we say one nation under God, we trust in God's wisdom. We look at the natural laws. We've kept His natural laws, but when it comes to all the nitpicky stuff, we're not supposed to go too deep into that, and that's for religion to do, and so under the theocracy, what Republicans came here for, I'll probably repeat this in different videos, they came here to get away from being hung by the Catholic Church, which was in conjunction with the governments of Europe back then, and hanging people for reading the Bible. And so I'm going to go ahead and delve. So think about who was hanging black folks back in slavery. That's the Democrat Party. So were some of those hangings because they were reading the Bible? Sometimes. Some of them were racist. Some of it was certainly some of the pictures you see there were people that among slaves that killed folks too. They murdered. Some of them were murderers. But so they hung white people back then too. Don't forget, they did the same thing for a murder. A white person killed somebody and caught, or even stealing a horse, they would get hung for stealing a horse back then. So, but were sometimes black people hung by the Democrat slave owners for reading the Bible? And the KKK, which came a little after we ended slavery, comes from evolutionists. So they lie and say the KKK came from Christianity and all that. Nope. They burned crosses because they hated Christ. And why did they do that? Were they angry because black folks were singing hymns and being happy even though they were being enslaved still, or oppressed after slavery ended? I mean, we're not looking at real history. All we look at, the Democrat Party is trying to teach us hate, and revenge, to have revenge on America for slavery. And they're pointing at the Republicans because Republicans love America. The Republicans love America for ending slavery. They came here to get away from slavery themselves. All right. The Democrats still represent that British party that doesn't want God, that still hates Christians, still picks on Christians, and hates Christians for wanting to implement marriage. Some of the ones that claim to be Christian and they're in the Democrat Party, they want God's natural marriage. Well, that's not a theocracy, by the way. We'll go back to that point. It's God's natural laws. What governments are helping their government? They think they're smarter than God. I'll just say that. A lot of Democrats, I'm going to go over 10 minutes, but not far. A lot of Democrats think they're smarter than God. And I know a lot of smart Democrats. I know a lot of smart Republicans, people who are smarter than me. But when they think they're so smart, they can make the world a better place by throwing out the natural family law stuff that helps hold families together and create families natural with father and mother being responsible for their kids. Because love isn't just lovey-dovey. It's got to be, it's something you have to work with and work on and forgive and have a vision for and have a godly vision for it, because God gave us the godly vision of marriage and being committed in marriage. And a lot of times people don't want to be. They get mad or they get tired. They don't want to be together anymore. They stick it out, and then there's a renewal at some point. There's memories at the end of life and everything to look back on and to see the success and being glad there's a lot of reasons to be glad you stuck it out and stuck together. And many, many, many reasons, more reasons than there is to, there's always an upsetness when you go apart. Should I have done this? If anybody cares about anything, they're going to think, maybe I should have stuck that out at some point. But it's too late now. You do have to move on with your life. That's even after that. And God does allow for divorce. But to throw out all those laws for trying to hold the family together, a government that supports that, they're not trying to help the nation. They're trying to tear down the nation. They're actually trying to tear down the nation. That has nothing to do with personal preferences and everything else. The laws are separate. The laws that are natural, that teach what's natural for the success and the survival and success of people in general. I mean, they want the government to have military police. The Democrats really want to insert military police in the future once they've torn down the family system. The family system, people get tired of being around family a lot of times, and they want to move on and separate. And it's sometimes because one of the parents is like worse than the police, right? But the Democrats want to get rid of that family network. But it's good that the family, it's naturally, it does police each other a little bit. And doing it too much is you get away from it if they do it too much. A lot of times, if they're abusive about it. But it's a more natural, better system for keeping more peace in the public, less violent public. If you've got a family network, policing you in a sense, babysitting you, policing you, holding you accountable somewhat. Overboard is not good. You get away from that if you can. But that's better than having the Democrats get rid of that family network and making you a slave to gangs, a prisoner to gangs and mobs who aren't as just. They're not as just. And inserting military police and making police be way worse than what they complain about. Police help going after crooks. The Democrats get mad that most of the cases they're picking on is police were called because they robbed the corner store and they got caught. And then the guy tried to fight the police, and the guy got hurt fighting the police. And they're like calling that racist and everything else. And right, that's not terrible policing at all. That happens if you combat. You don't combat police. Democrats try to teach people to combat the police. Don't do it. You don't combat the police. You if you're caught, you try to deal with it the best you can. Hold your tongue plead the fifth if you need to, or if you feel like you want to get it out and just serve whatever short time. It's probably something that's going to be a short time served, or pay a ticket. It's too late now. You're caught. Do it and solve it and get it out of the way. That's how to handle those things. And and the system's not fair on that sometimes. Sometimes it's an overcharge or whatever it is, or too long of a sentence. It's better to work with it and get it out of the way once you're caught. Because if you combat the police, usually you've added another crime to your list, and you're going to have a longer sentence and a higher bill to pay. And then so because of that, the Democrats are trying to help you because you fought the police, and they want to twist it and make it look like that's the police's fault. That's not bad police. That's a manipulative society with one side of the government trying to help manipulate the police because they want to get rid of the police and switch them and actually have worse police that will bully you for real, like all the way bully you. because they have no parameters against it. Right now, there's certainly police that want to be bullies, some of them, and sometimes they're just angry. They can get angry, but there's parameters there to keep them from doing that as much, because we have these certain freedoms, and innocent until proven guilty. But if the Democrats get rid of the family system and everything else, and people that can vouch for you to the police and go to the police and say, we know he was at our house, he's been home, he is usually a good guy, he's usually a girl, and they're usually always at work and always doing that. You got all that now, but once the Democrats get rid of all that network, family network, the military police are going to be a bunch of bullies. That's it. You do what they say. We can pull you anytime we want. But anyway, that's I forgot what the first subject was, but see, I don't remember. But I do. I analyze a lot, and when I get on a subject, I can remember what I've studied on it pretty well once I get involved in it. But my memory's bad. I might have to finish this video instead of going back to what I missed. I'm going to try to think real quick before I end it. Gee whiz. So anyway, I went down a rabbit trail, but hopefully somebody picked up on something, learned something. I did teach psychology there. I did teach it's better to behave, it's better to be patient. Those are biblical advice. The Bible gives that advice. It's better to be patient. It's better once you're caught. It doesn't make sense to make matters worse. It doesn't make sense to kill somebody. To try to kill somebody and then get yourself killed sometimes. Well, that happens only once. That's the point, too. You got to think about that. It's not worth all that, because if you cooperate, and sometimes it's better to give information than to plead the Fifth Amendment. And then you realize, oh, they don't look at that as a high crime as bad as I thought, or it's better just to get it out of the way and clear my name, or be reconciled, have my second chance, get it fixed or whatever. So, sure, there's some things that might not be a big deal in some ways that they've made big deals about, and they're not supposed to in this country. And you don't go, like, say, if you did something that you could get in trouble for and you didn't get caught, minus subtract, unless it's killing somebody or something. But I don't know. I'm not going to say you should turn yourself in every case, because some things are just not a big deal. But if it's a big deal, and somebody else is still hurting out there from something, then you can help save other lives. I say turn yourself in that kind of situation. It's easier said than done, maybe, in some cases. In some cases, it feels better to turn yourself in. But, I'm just going to end this now, because I can't even remember the title of this video. I wish I did. I don't remember what subject I was on. All right.